Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I have a very special video for you today. It is Magnus Carlsen's Immortal. Now an Immortal is a game where grandmasters sacrifice all their pieces basically and win the game. Now this is not modern day Magnus, this is Magnus when he was 12 years old and he played a spectacular game to get his first GM norm. With that said, let's have a look at the game. So Magnus Carlsen's got the white pieces and he's playing Spike Ernst, a Dutch Grandmaster, and you'll see Magnus Carlsen's rating is 2484. This was his road to becoming a Grandmaster. He's 12 years old at the time, and he's playing Spike Ernst. And they're playing quite a prestigious tournament. They're in Group C. Obviously, the top players are in Group A, and then some players just below them in Group B. So they're in Group C. Magnus is going for his Grandmaster norm, his first Grandmaster norm. So you'll see their GM, it should say IM, but what can you do? And his opponent is 2474. So he's got the white pieces. And he plays e4, and modern day games would go e5 or c5. That is what people play, but this is a while ago, so we get c6. We get a Caro-Kann defense. Now, I'm sure many of you would play the Caro-Kann defense. I played, if you watch my streams. I play the Caro-Kann defense a lot, and we get the classical variation with knight to c3, take. The bishop comes out, the knight retreats, it hits the bishop retreats, and then you try to trap the bishop, you play h4, and then we get h6, giving the bishop escape, and now that the bishop can escape, we develop our knight. You can see these are all book icons. This is the main line of the classical variation of the Caro-Kann defense. There is one sideline. After knight takes, you can play the tart cow. You can bring your knight out like this, and allow this take, and this is quite dynamically rich for black, because even though you've got the double pawn structure, your bishops are now both open. If I can draw proper arrows, your bishops are now both open, and this is another way to play. But as I said, they went here, the classical main line, very well explored. The knight, black develops their knight, the bishop finally gets kicked, and then we offer the exchange. And you might ask, why do we offer the exchange? Because probably we're going to build a dark squared thing, so we probably want to keep our light squared bishop. But the whole idea is this bishop went out over there, it went there, and it went there, and now you're going to make it do another move to take this bishop, which is what we get. And you say that black has lost time. You can see black has developed effectively one piece, but it's not on a useful square. You've got to develop your whole king side, and your queen still has to make one more move before long castles. So white is up in development. We've got 3 pieces out, and we've got this nicely advanced h-pawn. So we get e6, which is not the most common move. The most principled way to play nowadays is to play queen to c7 and long castles. This is what you should be doing. But instead we get e6, which is the move of the time, because you would develop your pieces like this and short castles. But long castles nowadays is much safer, because after bishop to f4, knight comes out, white long castles. So it is much more dangerous to castle short. You should play queen c7 and castle long. And because you didn't play queen c7, now you can't, because you've brought the bishop out. So instead, we get bishop to e7, knight jumps into the center, and queen to a5. You can see the players have now left book theory. So there's still some games in the database, but not enough to constitute theory anymore. King to b1, protecting the a2 pawn, and then short castles, and we get a trade there on f6. So the position is completely balanced. But this is approaching the moment where Magnus Carlsen just pops off. So he plants his knight in the center. Good attacking move. It means you can play queen to g3, or you could potentially have a rook lift coming this way. You've got sacrificing ideas all the time. Black plays the best move. With rook to d8, you target this pawn, which can be a weakness. Pushing this pawn to defend it is no good, so we get the queen out the way. It's a mistake, but only because black can play this really strange move, queen to b6, which is apparently level, and it levels the position. Instead, we get c5, and Magnus Carlsen just pops off here with brilliant move number 1. It is winning for white. You can see it's +1, but for one move only, knight g6. That looks incredibly stupid, and it's the start of bad things, because when a move looks impossible and it gets played, you are in trouble. Because that just hangs a knight. and we take the knight, which is the mistake. This is where the game gets lost, because the queen takes with check, and we take this pawn, and you can see with my arrows, the bishop stays at that pawn, the rook stays at that pawn, the other rook can be coming that way. You've got too much. So we get knight goes back, which is an inaccuracy and swells the advantage. Apparently, the best move in what is already a lost position is once again queen to b6. Trading off the queens, because if you don't have a queen, you're never going to get rid of this attack. Remember, you've sacrificed a piece, so you must generate that quick attacking play. But because you don't bring the queen back, you go back with the knight instead. We can play bishop takes h6. Brilliant move number 2. Knight pawn takes. Rook takes. We sacrifice everything because yes, the knight can take, but we take the bishop. We now threaten checkmate, so you must sacrifice the knight. And here, if you are scared, you make the draw. If you cannot find the win, you make the draw. You go like this. If you can't find the win, you go here, and we make a draw. Oh, not there. That's not the draw. Sorry, that's not the draw. Let's not make some mistakes here. So we took the pawn. So this is the best move. You don't go here and get mated in 2. Oh yes, because the king would come this way. So let's be accurate here. So we take the knight. We take the knight. So we're now down a rook. Magnus is down a rook, but it's +5. Okay? He's eviscerated the king's safety. And we bring the king up. And rook lift. Rook lift to go this way. And black here finds a very fascinating move. Rook to c6. We're going to try and defend the king. Now, to the naked eye, that looks like a free rook. You can't take it, though, because you hang back rank, mate. And if that happened, it would have been very funny. But, you know, Magnus Carlsen, the massive rating that he has at the time, not as big as it would get to be, 2484. He doesn't hang back rank checkmate. Instead, rook g3 check. The rook blocks, but it's M34, which is not a BMW model. Mate in 34. I'm not here to tell you Magnus found mate in 4. Instead, he gives a check. The king takes the pawn. We get another check, and here, his opponent, he knows he's lost, so he allows Magnus to checkmate him on the board and win the game. Magnus Carlsen was the only player to beat Spike Ernst, who finished with 10 out of 13. So this got Magnus his first GM norm, and he would be a Grandmaster by the end of the year. And this is his Immortal. This is not his best game that he's ever played, although this was 96% accuracy. But we never get to see this side of Magnus anymore. 12-year-old Magnus just eviscerated people. He blew them out the water. And this game shows everything. We go back all the way here. Knight g6. Knight g6. We take a couple. Bishop h6. Rook h6. You take the bishop. And yes, it looks like you've given up lots of material. But he finds the way to win. He calculates it all in advance and he wins in spectacular fashion. From a position where there was nothing wrong. If we go all the way back, if instead of c5, queen to b6 gets played, this game peters out into a draw maybe. Like, black is still going to be in trouble, but white's also equally in trouble. You've castled on opposite sides, so we've been a fighting game that could very well have ended in a draw, because long term that pawn could be a weakness, but you're opening up your king. So, you know, one slight error, knight g6, bishop h6, rook h6, and the queen just does enough by herself and gets the help from the rook, and we mate just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, comment on how I can improve and what you'd like to see covered, and until next time.